Wearing the Apple Watch, quote, upside down is officially called reverse crown orientation, and it's been an option since the first Apple Watch ever. It's the decision which side the digital crown will be on. It can be like this or like this. Okay, but why would you do it? And there are more reasons. If we haven't met before, this is Foxtecc, a tech channel where we don't do reviews, but instead answer your questions about Apple devices and help you get the most out of them. The reason number one is a thumb. Well, the fingers we mostly use to interact with the watch are thumb and the index finger. It's rarely any other one. It applies to the screen as well as to all the buttons, including the digital crown, which can be pressed using a thumb or an index finger. For me, personally, there is much more sensitivity in my thumb compared to the index finger. I wear my Apple Watch on my left wrist all the time, so I always touch it with my right hand. And I feel better when I rotate it using my thumb. I could also have it like this, meaning that it's on the right and I scroll with my finger instead. I mean, it can be convenient to use it both ways. For me, however, it's much better to rotate it using my thumb, like I said. I have much better precision there. That's why I have to stick to the digital crown being on the left. It's easier for me to click it. Yes, it's my subjective point of view, but I'd argue it's actually the better alternative for everyone wearing an Apple Watch on the left wrist. Let's again take a look at the way we use the Apple Watch. You take your hand, it's the right hand in our example, and you place it like this. That means for opening apps, scrolling, and generally touching the screen, you'll use your index finger. And the thumb is only utilized for pressing the digital crown or the side button. On the other hand, when the digital crown is here, on the right and at the top, you are reserving the presses for your index finger. So it has to multitask. It has to operate the screen, tap icons and stuff, and also come back to the side and press the button when we need it. Whereas if it were on the left, you would do it with your thumb, so right now it's not being used. I know, it may seem like a minor thing, but it really makes a difference throughout the time you use it. What's also gonna make a difference is subscribing to Foxtecc, where you'll find like hundreds of tutorials and content that will help you get the most out of your Apple devices. Now, the reason number two for wearing the Apple Watch upside down is accidental presses. Although you can't really accidentally press the side button, you can very easily press the digital crown. If you're leaning on a desk, working out, or doing whatever else where you position your wrist like this, it may happen. It's not a big deal, of course, but it's also not convenient. It triggers Siri in most cases, but it could be easily prevented by switching the Apple Watch orientation. Like I said, Siri is not really a problem, but it's usually loud and it's just gonna tell you that it didn't understand you or something. So not only the screen gets triggered, the button gets pressed, but also the speakers get activated. So it's really annoying at times. I mean, yeah, this whole thing is subjective for sure, but if I convince you to switch, here's how to set it up in the settings. Because it's not enough to just rotate the Apple Watch on your wrist, because everything will be upside down. So you go to the settings, then go to General, Orientation, and scroll down to Digital Crown and choose left instead of right. The whole UI will flip in a really nice animation, and you can use your Apple Watch from now on in a different orientation. So just like this, of course, switch it however you want. It's also important to keep in mind which wrist you're wearing it on. As I mentioned a couple of times in this video, this whole upside down thing only applies to your Apple Watch being on the left wrist. If it were on the other one, then our reasons wouldn't really make sense anymore, would they? Of course, you're free to wear it however you want and feel like. But for the things I mentioned as reasons, it wouldn't make a lot of sense anymore. Whatever the case is, make sure that it's set correctly. The setting to choose whether you're gonna wear it on the left or on the right wrist is there for a reason. So if you choose a different one, then it may happen that the screen doesn't light up because the watch didn't detect the movement. You're gonna flick your wrist and it's gonna stay black. It thinks that it's on the other side and expects a different movement. And that's why it's important to set it up in the correct way. And one other thing we need to address is the band. When switching the orientation, you're also flipping the band. One side is usually longer than the other or a bit different, depending on what type of band you use. But it's not really a problem, of course. You can keep on using it regularly, though in a bit different way when it comes to putting the watch on. So you can forget about it if it's not that important to you, or you can just unmount both sides of the strap and replace them. You just change their positions and you're back at what you had before. To do that, you naturally press the small button on the back side of the watch and slide the band out. Do it for both sides and slide it back in. Now, if you have ever wondered how you can play a video on your Apple Watch, then take a look at this one right here, you're gonna find out about it.